What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me, as always. I'm still on the road. I'm still grinding. I'm still trying to recover from this Bears L, but we got a lot to talk about. NFL. Is quarterback too hard? I mean, is that what? Are we being we've talked about this before. Are we being too hard on these guys? Is this just the hardest position in the world, and it's that difficult? And we're seeing it on a week-to-week, game-to-game basis. The quarterback play last night was horrific on the doubleheader of Monday Night Football. We'll talk about that. We'll dive into Cincinnati. They're 0-2. Are they in trouble? Burrow. We people, not me, downplayed the calf. The calf is now flaring back up. Are they in trouble? How big of an issue is that? Dallas Cowboys are 2-0. That people are talking Micah Parsons is the MVP. People are talking high flying best team in the league talk for the Dallas Cowboys. Is that a fact? We'll chat about that. We got a lot to talk about. Nick Chubb absolutely has a gruesome injury.
Awful.
Left knee, had a really bad injury on that left knee at Georgia. So we're going to talk about that as well. A lot of things to get into, but it's all NFL. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's happening?
How we feeling? I see you're still out there, man. My man's he's globetrotting Florida.
Tampa to Miami.
Where you going next? Pensacola?
It's about 90. It's about 95, man. It's hot, still hot.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. I sound like Big Nick the Quick. I'm talking about the weather. That's unbelievable. I apologize, everybody. That's my fault. But yeah, man, we're still trying to get home. The lady got COVID in NYC, so I didn't really want to go back and isolate myself in my own crib. So I'm like, why would I hustle back? I don't have to be in the studio till Friday, so I'm gonna hang out. Live. It is a tough life.
It's a tough life, man. I can't go home. Man. Can't go home. I'm out here in Miami. I'm stranded in South Beach.
You know what I'm saying? I'm stuck. You know what I mean?
But at the same time, I also feel you. I know how it is to be away from the crib for a minute. You just want to get back home and sleep in your bed and be back in some normal routine. You're probably spending all types of money on the road, and it's just like I'm trying to get back to the crib.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the crib.
I need to get
home. But let's talk about it. Doubleheader Monday night. Quarterback is the big talk. I want to talk about just the quarterback position overall. We were watching the game. I texted Big Nick the Quick. I said, look, man, is the quarterback position just too difficult? Are we just being way too hard on these guys? I also have a question for Nick. What is the actual timeline for evaluating a quarterback? Because it's getting shorter and shorter as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
Couple people are watching guys play 3 games. Like, yeah, nah, pack him up.
It's over with.
It's over. This guy stinks. Yo, this guy stinks. Pack him up. It's over, man. I've seen enough. Couple throws. I've seen enough. Kenny Pickett went from the hottest young guy in the league. They're doing ads about his 2 gloves out in Pittsburgh. He's the young guy, backwards hat warming up.
He's so mature. He's older.
Out the back. He plays. He's a young guy, but plays old.
This guy started a lot of games at Pitt.
Now all of a sudden it's getting late early for Pickett now.
Very late.
And they and Big Nick the Quick talked about this too. George Pickens has been talked about like he's Randy Moss and Marvin Harrison. Oh.
And Calvin Johnson. Wow.
Yo,
whoa! Delete the stream. Oh, hey, that wasn't on me. Hey, that wasn't on me.
Yeah. My fault. That's on me. I take full responsibility for that.
I can't believe
but he looks like Randy Moss.
Too much sun.
The guy in the middle that I named.
Megatron.
And Megatron combined.
That's whoever else. A little bit of Jerry Rice. Shades of Jerry Rice.
Shades of Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
And so, he's been getting a lot of love. But what I'm getting at is now Pickett is already on the chopping block, it seems.
Yeah.
They didn't run a play last night, Big Nick the Quick, inside the Browns 30-yard line on offense.
Yeah, no red zone plays at all. They had 9 first downs.
It was nasty stuff. So, Big Nick the Quick.
9 first downs.
Kick us off.
You hear Tomlin after the game, he said, I'm not going to apologize for winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great answer, right? Like, I'm responsible for the quarterbacks and all that other shit that was positive that was going on. So, yeah, I'm not going to apologize for getting the W. But, Big Nick the Quick, talk to me. Let's talk about just the overall quarterbacks in the league that we think are actually okay.
Sure.
And then talk to me about what is the actual timeline for evaluating a quarterback. What is a realistic timeline, and what is a real timeline that we can actually you think is actually suitable to deciding if you have a guy or not?
Yeah, so I mean, I think initially it's what is the quarterback position too hard, right? Are we too harsh on these guys? And I think the answer is yes, it is hard. But no, I don't think that we're too harsh on these guys. I think that we've always known that this is a tough position to play. It's the toughest position in sports, but it's also the most glorious position in sports, right? So it's kind of one of those like to whom much is given, much is expected, right? And if you want to be the quarterback, if you want to be the guy that gets all the glory and eventually earns the big contract and is the face of the franchise and gets all the commercials and all that can come along with being a successful quarterback, you got to live up to that billing. And a lot of these guys are getting that before they even, do anything, right? So depending on who you are, you look at a guy like Baker Mayfield, he had a decent few games in the NFL, and he's the face of every single commercial campaign you could possibly think of. He's doing State Farm. He's selling you this. He's selling you that. So again, if that's kind of what comes with it, then you gotta be able to perform. And it's a tough position. And as defenses get better and as defensive coordinators get smarter, as these guys get faster, as whatever it is, and as we expect more out of these quarterbacks, it's going to get more difficult. But it's not like we haven't seen guys who do it. It's not like we don't have a handful of guys who do it in the NFL. It's just, again, that's why you pay these guys top dollar. That's why Mahomes reworks his deal yesterday to get $50 million per year. Because he's like, hey, guess what? I'll take the money. I need that because you have me on your team and you win 2 Super Bowls no matter who else is around me. And I think
Patrick Mahomes is going to have a record restructure.
Yeah.
He's going to have the most restructures in NFL history.
Right, but remember before it was, hey, well, you can't win if you have a guy making this much money, and Mahomes won one without making that money and then won another one with making all that money and pretty much said, hey, look, as long as you have me, you're good. You can get rid of Cheetah. You can get rid of Kareem Hunt. You can miss on Edwards-Helaire. You can have Juju Smith-Schuster be my number 1 receiver, and I will win you a Super Bowl, right? Like, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. Most teams would never, ever in any situation move on from Tyreek Hill. It was between Tyreek and Kelsey. They chose Kelsey and Mahomes, and he got him another Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got him a couple more. And that's why he gets everything that's coming to him. So I don't think we're too harsh on these guys because I think these guys, when it goes well, they get everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have to be good. It's too important. It's the only position in the NFL that you can legitimately say, I cannot win unless I have somebody at this spot, right? Like everything else, when we talk about, our top 4 positions, the corners, the tackles, the edge rushers, you can manufacture some of that. Ideally, you don't want to, but you can manufacture some of that. You can't manufacture quarterback play. So very rare in the, 40, how many Super Bowls is it? 50, 56? Have we had them won by mediocre quarterbacks? There's only a handful. Dilfer.
Well, what did we talk about? 30. How many quarterbacks was it? 30. I think 32.
32.
Have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And how many of those guys would you say are, at least in the last 30 years, we'll call it? 7 of those were by Tom Brady, but at least in the last 30 years are mediocre, right? Like not really outside of Dilfer and Johnson. And don't come to me with Eli talk. I know you can't say anything bad about Eli because you got to lay your head down in New York City, but regular season was mediocre, but if you look at those Super Bowls, Eli won those Super Bowls. He wasn't a bystander. He wasn't just there handing off the rock.
He wasn't a passenger.
Passenger.
Yeah.
So, look, man, that's kind of how it goes. So I don't think that we're too harsh on these guys. I know I went off on that one, but what was the second part of that question?
What's an actual timeline?
It depends, man. I don't think there's any set we need to give a quarterback 3 years. I think you have to see things, right? Like we've seen teams move on fast from guys. Like one that stands out to me, remember Josh Rosen? Cardinals took him 8th or 9th. 1 year, I'm like, hey, we're off, right? And I think that either comes down to you're seeing something in the building that you really don't like, or your veteran coaches are just like, hey, this just isn't going to work. So and if that's the case, it doesn't matter how much time you can put into a guy, it's not going to turn around.
Nick, I was so high on Josh Rosen.
The chosen Rosen?
I thought Josh Rosen was going to be like Aaron Rodgers like.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
I was so high on Josh Rosen. And remember he was talking shit when he was coming out too?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
well, he fell a little bit in
everybody's
the
calling
draft.
me a rich kid.
Yep.
He just had big time moxie, big time bravado. He talked a lot of shit. He had
Which
a
lot of
big
people
arm.
didn't like, apparently.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. And then he came in and just stunk it up.
Was awful.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Jamarcus Russell, guys like that. It's just like sometimes you can see it right away, like, hey, this isn't going to happen. With other guys, you got to give them more time. Like, let's say Richardson, the kid in Indy. Like, if they gave up on him, no matter what his rookie year looked like, I would be like, that's ridiculous, because all you've heard about is he's a good kid, he's going to work hard, he's just raw, right? Now, if it started coming out that, like, Anthony Richardson's skipping meetings, he's not watching film, he's an asshole in the building, okay, that's a different story. So I think the timeline is based on the player. But realistically, like, if a guy's a good prospect, you should start seeing real signs of improvement of being that guy in like year 3.
Also, so as long as everything, he's a hard worker, everything
he's doing the right things,
positives, and then so that's the thing. It's almost like sometimes we don't see all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. Right. So it's like, why does this guy continue to get opportunities? A lot of it is the behind the scenes stuff. But Nick, I think you're wrong on a year 3, bro. I think that's far too much. Dog, we are getting on quarterbacks' ass, and I've been trying to be a lot more lenient just because I know how difficult the situation is. And I've said this now the last month, how important the scheme and the coaching staff is. It's the offensive mind in your building is the second most important person in the franchise. It's the quarterback and then the offensive mind. If your offensive mind is not there, then it doesn't matter about anywhere else. You're going to have a pick six on the first play, a strip, fumble return, and all types of turnovers like Pittsburgh did to win games. So the offensive mind is that important. But Nick, I'm starting to think we're going to get I think the timeline, man, is like 20 games, 25 games. I think we're going to start seeing teams move off guys 25 games tops. And for whatever reason, from the fan base to the media, it doesn't matter how many schemes you've been in, how many offenses you've had to learn, how much turnovers on the roster, none of that. Because we're seeing it right now with Pickett. We're seeing it right now with Justin Fields. We're seeing it on the flip side with Purdy. We've essentially anointed Purdy that he's going to be a 15-year quarterback in the NFL. So the windows and the crowning and decrowning of people is happening at lightning speed. And I think the Anthony Richardson will get a full season. He can do whatever the fuck he wants this year in Indianapolis. Be good, bad, doesn't matter. If he comes out in year 2, 5-6 games in, and it's horrendous, it's really I think the narrative already starts to turn on you that quickly.
So I guess what I meant by year 3, like becoming that guy, is like I think a perfect example would be like a Josh Allen, right? Like his first 2 years completed under 60% of his passes. Obviously, he showed a lot of flashes. It's like, okay, this guy isn't going to be a complete bust, which was one of the worries coming out, just all things considered. And then by year 3, 37 touchdowns, completes 70% of his passes, and is an MVP candidate. So like that's, I guess, what I mean by like that. By like year 3, headed towards being that type of guy. So if Richardson is bad this year, comes out next year and shows improvement, right? Like he's working towards that. And then year 3 is like fully fledged, like, hey, he's that guy, right? Not necessarily a finished product, but like, yeah, he's that guy. I'm fine with that. So I guess that's kind of what I meant. Not that you can suck for 34 games essentially, and by game 35 have it figured out. Like, I don't think that's it. But I think, again, man, it depends on the player. Like, some of these guys are going to take a little bit longer. But, yeah, I think you're right. I do believe that we are going to be at like that 25-game mark with these guys. And if you're not seeing something, then, yeah, you're going to move on. But I think it just depends on the guy and depends on what you're seeing. Not everybody is going to be the same. I don't think there's going to be like a standard, you need to be at this by game 25, right? It's going to be different for everybody else. The thing with guys like Purdy And some of these other guys that are considered more, not necessarily NFL ready, but polished when they come in, is you expect certain things from them right away, right? Like you would almost, Brock Purdy's not the best example because of where he was drafted, but like a guy who might have been drafted in like the 4th round, you might expect him to do a lot of different things better than Anthony Richardson could right now, right? But the hope is that Richardson eventually takes all that talent and then adds in that experience stuff, and you have Josh Allen, right? You have one of these other guys who's kind of ascended. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where we're at. So I think it also depends on the organization. Some organizations have a low tolerance for it, right? Some coaching staff, it depends on where you are as an organization. If you came in with that quarterback and GM, like you like to talk about, and head coach, you get a little bit more time. If you inherit that person or that person's given to you in the middle of your tenure where you could be on the way out, it's like, no, I got to move on immediately. And you bring in Andy Dalton, right? You bring in Andy Dalton as a bridge quarterback and instead of maybe trying to start a new guy or whatever the case may be, you do something, you make some hasty reactions. So it depends, man. There's so many other factors into, I guess, how these guys are successful and how you can evaluate them. It's crazy. There's no real answer. I don't know. But I do agree with you that we're coming off guys very, 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 very.
I mean, so Watson is back. He had 8 games last year, I believe. He's played 2 now. 1 was in a monsoon. 2nd one was on Monday Night Football. He got a full off season. I'm aware, but I mean, there's people coming off him. He has looked very poor.
Deshaun Watson.
He looks like a different guy.
Yeah, they said they said in QBR since he's been back, he's like 27th in the NFL in QBR. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league since he's gotten back. So I mean, he looked terrible last night. He looked like a guy who he looked like Justin Fields looked almost like you don't know what he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, some of those fumbles, some of the plays, he didn't look comfortable back there. He did not look like a guy who used to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Forget making plays, right? It's just more like how he moved. He just doesn't look the same. So
you know it's a funny comparison because I agree with you. He just is moving like
lost.
Shit's lost. Confused.
Too fast for him. Yeah, like what the hell happened since I've been gone?
And you
know, like man,
what the fuck?
Yeah, like
back.
whoa,
It's a different game.
This is a different game. Yeah,
it's a different game, man. I don't know this game.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? A guy who acts and always moves like he's got shit under control, but is very mediocre. Derek Carr.
Oh yeah.
Never
flustered.
Mover.
Confident
mover.
Hey, listen. Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't play very well consistently.
I understand why he got paid in the offseason. I feel like if Derek Carr comes in for the free agent meeting and you sit down, you're going to believe whatever he's telling.
Oh, yeah.
Even in Hard Knocks. No, you saw in the Hard Knocks, Gruden couldn't hate this dude anymore, but Derek Carr just kept resilient, like whatever. He's he's awesome. Shout out Derek Carr. Yeah. And he can play a little bit. He can play a little bit. He's fine.
He's a middling dude.
Make a lot of money.
But this is a perfect example of what we always talk about, Nick. This guy is so middling, very mediocre. He's like same level as Jimmy Garoppolo type of guy. And he always has a job because he's good in the locker room, always says the right stuff, leader this, leader that, puts on a great face for your franchise. Those guys are always going to have a longer leash. And I'll say this to go back to Justin Fields. He is starting to show a little like he's flustered. And I'm talking about press conferences.
Who, Justin Fields?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I heard Justin say it is what it is, hey, listen, bro.
Yeah.
As a quarterback of a franchise,
can't say it.
You can never say shit like that.
It never is what it is.
It never is what it is. And if it is what it is, I need you to explain what you're talking about.
Yeah, what is what it is? Yeah.
What do you mean, Justin?
It is what it is. I don't give a fuck. I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever. Fuck it. It's fuck it.
Yeah, that's how it comes off. Right?
Can't fix it. Yeah.
That's the thing about Carr. It's like, no, man,
he would never
say the right things. He would never say anything like that.
Never get up there and say that.
That's where it gets a little spooky for Justin too. It's like you got to keep that strong face, man. Don't crumble under the pressure. I know shit is rough. I know shit's not going well. I know the scheme sucks. I know the protection's not there. I know you got a lot of things to work on the game, but the one thing that you can control that's all you is when you get in front of the mic, and people start asking you questions, you almost have to put on that Russell Wilson bullshit. I'm not saying don't be yourself.
Not that far.
No.
Not that
Listen,
far. Yeah.
listen, I'm not saying don't be yourself and be fake, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
you got to be very confident and complete
absolutely.
up there and talk about how you're working on your game.
Yeah.
It's almost like on the Cincinnati.
Stock answers. There's stock answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's stock answers. And I'll say this. You kind of downplayed Derek Carr a little bit. Like that's not why he has a job. Derek Carr is one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL, which is why he has a job, and he probably will be for the next few years. So he is good enough. But that's also an indictment on the system, right? Where it's like he's really not that good, but he's still one of the 32 best, right? And we talked about this when we talk about college football, where it's like, hey, look, man, there aren't 32 good NFL quarterbacks, right? So you can't tell me there's a bunch of them in college that I want to watch. It's hard enough. There was 2 games on last night, right? 4 quarterbacks, 4 National Football League quarterbacks, and only one of them was a rookie, right? Playing last night. And it was atrocious. It was atrocious quarterback play all around. One of them's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. One of them's a veteran in Derek Carr.
How many?
Another one's a guy in Pickett who's supposed to be ascending. And the other one was the number 1 pick in the draft. And between the 4 of them, it's like, pick your poison. All these guys suck. They were all awful last night. So it's
they were all awful last night.
All awful.
How many touchdowns across all 4 of them?
In the game?
In the games, both of them. I want to say 2 at the top.
Grown?
Pickens broke one for 70 plus.
Yeah.
And then Bryce Young went down and threw one at the end of the game on a prevent defense.
Yeah, Bryce Young had one. Derek Carr had none.
Yep.
And then
Pickett had one. Watson had 0.
Deshaun Watson had one. No, Deshaun Watson had one to why am I blanking? He had one though. Okay. And then Pickens had one. So it was 3 touchdowns, but there was also 3 interceptions and maybe 40 fumbles. Maybe 40 fumbles. Could have been 40 fumbles last night. I lost count of fumbles by the 3rd quarter between the 2 games, but it was a shit show, right? So like that's where we're at with quarterbacks. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, maybe we are too harsh on these guys because these guys, this is the future. 2 of these guys are the future, and 2 of them are the present, and they were all terrible.
Okay, let's do this because I think this will be fun. Because I honestly think there's 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that are actually a real threat. I don't think there's many more than that. So I'm gonna throw out quarterback names. You tell me if you'll go with them or it's time to rebuild. Restart,
so we gotta have I've often thought about this. We gotta have like a strong what does I'll go with them mean? Is it like, I'll go 16 games with this guy? Because they're bringing in a lot of folks in there with that.
No. I'm talking about.
Or I'm going to hitch my wagon to this guy.
I'm going to go with this guy, and we think we could try to win a title.
Okay.
So basically, like Bryce Young, CJ, Richardson, those guys don't count because we don't know. Yeah, we don't know anything about those guys, right?
Okay.
But in other words,
let's do it. Yeah, I got it.
How about this? You'll go with them or you're looking for a quarterback in the next draft.
Got you.
Got me?
Yep.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. I'm looking for a quarterback.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Looking for a quarterback.
Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about Kirk here in a second, actually.
I'm probably riding with Kirk a little bit longer.
So you believe Kirk?
Oh man, Kirk is like the Mason Dixon line of it. You know what I mean? Like he is like the freaking
absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
because look,
he's good enough, but he's not good enough.
Look, Kirk is going. Hey, if you like it or not, Kirk is going to wake up in what month is it right now? It's September.
Yeah.
Come July, Kirk is going to be looking for about $40 million,
and he'll get
it.
Yeah.
You feel me? So that is the Mason Dixon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you know what? Actually, Kirk is where I draw the line, so I'm looking for a new quarterback. I'm looking for a new quarterback.
You're looking for a new quarterback.
Looking for a new quarterback.
Kirk Cousins at 40 is not going to do it for me. I'm looking for a new quarterback.
Looking for a new quarterback, man. He can't take me where I need to go. I
know.
Oh, Geno Smith. Oh man. I'm looking for a new quarterback.
Kyler Murray.
I'm absolutely looking for a new quarterback. But But I can't. Because I just signed him to a deal that kicks in next year.
Right. Josh Allen.
I'm good. I'm not looking for a new quarterback. I'm looking for
Trevor
an offensive
Lawrence,
I'm looking for an offensive coordinator that can work with him.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, I'm not looking for a new quarterback. He's that guy.
Like Ritter, you could take Ritter out.
Desmond
Like
Ritter,
Tannehill.
the oldest looking young.
Tannehill,
I'm looking for a new quarterback.
I've been looking.
Tannehill should be given 20% of his salary to Derrick Henry.
And 20 more to Vrabel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it.
Right? So
yep. That's kind of where you're at, right? Okay, like Goff.
That's the man. He right there next to him and Kirk at the same table.
Oh, Goff's putting up numbers.
Goff, he's been very good. I'm going with Goff. I'm rocking with Goff. I think Goff is one of those. Goff is one of those 10, 12 guys that I think are actually there.
Goff has played. Listen, people forget Goff has been the starter for a Super Bowl team.
McVay was the quarterback. They said McVay was talking to him in his helmet, bro. They said they had to check.
Probably.
They said they had to check on what time they were cutting off the mic in his helmet because McVay was pushing the limits, talking to him through his helmet. But
Goff this year, 70% of passes completed, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick.
I'm
lights out. He's been lights out. He's been lights out for 13 games now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just so fickle, man. Like first couple of weeks, Stafford has been playing really well.
So here's the thing about how we're harsh on quarterbacks, right? And is this fair? Can certain guys never shake their reputation? Like for me, Matt Stafford. Like I truly believe in it. A tiger cannot change his stripes, and you can't tell me anything about Matt Stafford. He will always suck in my book. He sucks.
You're not a big Stafford guy.
I'm not. It doesn't matter. He won a Super Bowl. Great. Literally great. Matt Stafford sucks. Like Matt Ryan for you. Matt Ryan come out of retirement, win a Super Bowl with the Jets this year.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy that was stealing money for years and years and years.
Is that being harsh on guys? But then you take it with a guy like Jared Goff is a more realistic thing, right? Like because we've thought he sucked before and we've seen him suck before, does it not matter what he does in Detroit? If Baker Mayfield was to be good again, does it not matter what he does? Right? Like, are there certain guys where it's like, hey, yeah, no, we believe you suck. Geno Smith, you brought him up. I'm like, hey, look, I don't care what he did last year. Geno Smith sucks, right? He was good last year, but he sucks, And so for me, that's probably where it's like, yeah, I'm too harsh on quarterbacks. Because once I put you there and I place you there, you're kind of there permanently.
Yeah. And let's be clear. When we say sucks, it's banter, right? We're going back and forth. We're talking shit. But it's just not a guy that I have confidence in week in, week out.
Exactly.
There is guys that week in, week out, I'm like, I'm not worried about this dude showing up at all.
Yes.
Right? And guys like Geno, guys like Daniel Jones, I'm not confident in those guys to show up on a week to week. James in the comments, shout out James. He said, bring up Tua's name. Let me tell you something.
Absolutely rocking.
Hold on. Let's talk about Tua for a second. I was talking to my guy, Brandon Anderson from the Action Network. Shout out BA. This guy, Tua, processes information pre-snap, post-snap, gets through his reads and gets the ball off with absolutely no hesitation. It's some of the best progression and decision-making within the quickest time frame I've seen from a quarterback, maybe in a long time. I don't want to go crazy here. But Tua snaps the ball, knows where he's going to go, and if his first read is covered up, he is off it in an instant. Yeah. And he's looking somewhere else. And as soon as he makes a decision, ball's gone out. He is averaging the quickest drop back to throw speed in the NFL. And on top of that, is averaging the longest completion yards down the field as well. So he's getting it out the quickest and getting it downfield. Yep. It's what he's doing right now is very, very spectacular. Now, a lot of that has to do with Mike McDaniel, singular. This guy is ridiculous. The concepts that he's implementing are things that other teams aren't doing. He has a guy in Tua seeing everything extremely clearly, and a lot of that has to do with the position that he's putting in him. So shout out Mike McDaniel, singular. He's that guy.
Singular brother.
So, man, that's the quarterback talk is always fun.
The Tua and McDaniel get the black QB, black head coach combination. I think I'm with it.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think Tua's with us.
No. I mean, I agree. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, but yeah, 100%.
The Pacific Brothers.
Yeah, and I think the GM is black, so shout out to them. Yeah, no, man, yeah, he is one more head hit away, but everybody is one more something away, if we're being completely honest. Joe Burrow could be one more devastating leg injury away. Like it doesn't matter. So like James just said that in the comment. Yeah, for sure, man. You gotta be careful with that, and hopefully you keep that under wraps. So that's always gonna be the situation. But we can't forecast injuries. So like for right now, absolutely. Yeah. Tua is for sure. I'm happy. Tua, obviously Mahomes, Rodgers, Burrow, Herbert, Allen, dare I say Brock Purdy.
Lawrence,
Trevor Lawrence, yeah, those Brock Purdy. And listen, and again, I said it last week. We got to stop saying, but it's Brock Purdy. My man has won like 13 straight. I love Shanahan. I love the 49ers. It is hard to win in the NFL.
Hey man, but I'm gonna tell you this. Look, you throw Brock Purdy in a fucking orange Chicago Bears jersey.
Yeah, he's gonna be terrible.
He looks like what in the world is this dude even doing in the league?
Sure.
So that I think that's where it gets very particular.
But you can't just put anybody in that San Fran system, or you can't just throw anybody on. I push again, man. Like I don't like when it's like, yeah, but you could just throw anybody into San Fran and they're going to be great. If Brock Purdy goes down, and God forbid they have to play some games with Sam Darnold, I guarantee you it will not look the same. If it looks the same, I will fly out to San Francisco and I will go to a game at the stadium. That's how confident I am.
Who was my man that came in for Brock last year in the playoffs? I can't remember his name.
Oh man, he got hurt too, right? CJ Beathard.
Yeah,
was it Beathard?
I don't remember, but
yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, he was awful. Yeah. So what Purdy is out there? It's not game managing. Again, I said it last week. Yeah. Brock Purdy's not game managing. Go watch the film. Go watch the football. He's not out there throwing for 700 yards a game, but he's not out there game managing. He's making big throws. So
yeah, Josh Johnson. Shout out Cody. It was Josh Johnson.
Was it Black Josh Johnson?
Black Josh Johnson.
The immortal. Hey, talk about that's how bad Josh Johnson pops up every couple of years. He's back in the league.
What other Josh Johnson that is somehow on the roster?
Always
the guy that gets hurt.
Dog, he's always on the roster.
Josh Johnson, Black Josh Johnson.
He's gonna start for the Bengals next week.
Shout out Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Check getter.
Yeah, check getter. All timer. I love it.
All time check getter.
Yeah.
Game check.
Get your money. I'm available. Yeah, coach, I'm available. I can be on the next flight. I got miles. Yeah. So, what were we on? Are we rocking with Jalen Hurts? Yeah, I'm rocking with Jalen Hurts.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
I have to. What do we I mean, I'm telling you, but I've been screaming at the top of my lungs. All these guys are naming have great offensive systems. All of them. San Francisco, we've been talking about flat brim Kyle Shanahan.
I don't think Josh Allen has a great offensive system, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah, and then but he's also turning the ball over 20 times a year.
Yeah, but I think they for whatever reason have neglected the running back position his entire tenure there, and just decide that having him be the leading rusher, knowing that he's reckless. I don't think they have actually. To be honest with you, I don't like anything about their system. I think that they need an offensive refresh.
You think it's too reliant on Josh?
It's too reliant on him, man. Like you could do other things. I don't understand what they're doing over there. I don't understand the lack of a running game.
I also think we were just talking about injuries, Brock getting hurt, and I think it's the perfect segue into talk about Nick Chubb. Absolutely. If you haven't seen the replay and you can stomach it, you should just go look at it just to see the type of injuries that occur all the time in football. This shit is frequent. I tweeted out last night, playing running back in the NFL is suicide. It's absolute suicide. Your body is going to get mangled. If you stay in the league long enough playing the running back position, getting the touches these guys are getting, your body is going to get smoked. And that's exactly what has happened to Nick Chubb now multiple times. If you didn't know, Nick Chubb in 2015 at Georgia had one of the most horrific knee injuries I've ever seen. Go watch that one if you haven't seen it as well. I think they were playing Tennessee. He got caught on the sideline, left knee, essentially goes backwards. It looks like a horse's knee. and just hyperextends and he blows out everything. Except his ACL, which is interesting enough. But no ACL tear, but everything else. Same knee last night, gets taken out. Minkah Fitzpatrick goes low. Call it dirty, call it what you want, but this is just football. I don't think Minkah sees him and says, I'm gonna go try to hurt this dude. He's just trying to bring dude down because he's the best, one of the best top 5 offensive weapons in the NFL, Nick Chubb. So what do we do here, Nick? Like we've talked about this before. Nick Chubb is now out. He might be out permanently. I hope not. But that's the second. He's gonna have a full reconstruction of the left knee for the second time in 8 years, and he's a little older now. I'm glad he got paid a little bit of money as well. Shout out Nick Chubb. But all the guys that were complaining pregame or preseason, are hurt.
They all got hurt this week.
Nick Chubb is out. Austin Eckler's out. Saquon Barkley is out. What do we do, Nick? Hey, and you want to know the biggest problem, Nick? Nick Chubb goes down. Some guy off the bench comes in, he picks up 105 off the bench. I don't even know his name. Like Fred Jones Jr. or something.
Oh, yeah.
Look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure he was wearing 84. He was wearing wide receiver number.
My man comes in and picks up 100 yards.
Yeah.
It was a –
underscores why you don't pay running backs.
Yeah, and shout out my guy, Analytics Capper.
Ford. Jerome Ford.
I didn't know Jerome Ford till he started toting the rock.
Yeah, 5th round pick out of Cincinnati.
Okay, look, Nick. 5th round pick out of Cincinnati.
I paid him $600,000.
The best running back in the world goes down. This guy is a 5th round pick from Cincinnati, comes in and gets a buck.
Yeah.
In the middle of the game. Yep. It's a perfect reason why you don't pay running backs.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you can do.
And he'll probably rush for 1,000 yards this year.
Yes. Right? So I talked about the one fix that I did have that I think is a really good idea is you just have to have minimums for these guys. Where it's like if you get kind of like for the NBA, if you get all NBA or you get all NBA or you win a league, you're available for the Supermax. If you get a certain amount of carries in the NFL, or you get a certain amount of touches, you trigger some type of payment from the franchise. Because until that happens, there's absolutely no reason why you get these guys, run them into the ground, and go get another one.
Well, but that's the thing. Because you can do that, there will be no incentive to ever put together this program that you're talking about. If there's a never-ending mill of running backs, has enough power to
Nick, I thought the league cared about the players, though.
They don't. What do you mean? No, they don't. And you know what else? The other positions aren't going to care enough to fucking do anything about it. So what are you going to do? A bunch of running? They tried this. What happened to the coalition of running backs that had the Zoom call? What about the Zoom call? Man, we're gonna take a stand. Saquon signed the next day. All those fools lined up in week 1 for whatever salary the team offered him. Whatever the team told them they were worth, and I'm not blaming these guys at all. So I know it sounds like I'm blaming them. I'm not. I'm just telling you what happened. So there's 2 things that are going to happen. A, they show up because they're not going to miss a check. When you can't get a check, you're certainly not going to miss a check, right? This doesn't work that way. And B, they don't show up, and we go get a fucking 5th round pick who's going to come in and rush for 1,000 yards, who's going to be A, happy he's in the NFL, and be happy he's making $600,000 a year. So that's what it comes down to. And guess what? When he doesn't start to like it, we'll go find another one. And when he doesn't start to like it, we'll go find another one. Because the football fields in Texas are full of prospects, and a lot of them are running the football. The football fields in Florida are full of prospects, in Alabama and California, and a lot of them are running the football. It is still one of the positions in football. At the youth level, you need running backs. You need them in high school. You need them in college. So they're still being produced. And if that is your opportunity to get to the NFL, you can't just be a senior in college and be like, you know what? I'm not going to be a running back anymore. I want to get paid, so I'm going to be a defensive back. It doesn't work that way. If you're a prospect as a running back, you go in as a running back. And when it's time to get paid, you're probably done. And they will never have enough power to sit here and be like, well, guess what? We're not doing this until we hit a carry threshold. Is every running back on the face of earth going to sit out then? That's the only way that happens, because we'll find somebody.
Yeah. Remember way back in the day before the NIL, we used to talk about ways that college athletes could get paid, and I was like, look, man, this is the only way they're going to get paid. It's going to have to be the Final Four, and Coach Krzyzewski's going to have to walk out Duke and have them sit on the floor and not play.
Yeah.
At the tip. Like, that's the, like, it has to be
and that might work.
And that might work. Like,
but you can't find 12 other basketball players to fill Duke's roster, but you can find 32 running backs. So
it's a really tough situation. And honestly, if you go to Middle America, if some guy in Middle America complains about his gig and he's not getting paid enough, you know what everyone's going to tell him? Go get another job. Go get another skill. Go find something else to do. That's kind of like what these running backs should have played wide receiver, my brother.
They have less, actually, because some of them can go on strike, and because they are hard to get, they actually might. You know what I mean? Like, whoever the running backs are in a position where, like, it is what it is, man, and nothing's going to change. Yeah, we can try to find all the sexy money. We can talk.
NFLPA is going to have to come in and help of some way, shape, or form. That's
which
the only way.
Is other players saying, "Hey, yeah, we're willing to."
Exactly. Yeah. I was just going to say the other players need to stand in solidarity with the running backs and try to get those guys paid.
It's like when you were talking about that money pool that exists. It's like, listen, we're not allocating that just to the running back position.
Yeah.
Because now we all want some of that. Well, what about if I'm a wide receiver that outperforms my contract? I want my ends.
You know what that pool reminds me of? I own a condo in Chicago, and we have it's like a fund. I can't remember. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. It's like a rainy day fund for.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you're talking. Co-ops have it. Yeah. I don't know what it's called. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's supposed to be for special projects and stuff that they want to do in the building.
Look that up.
It's pretty much like a university endowment. It's a fucking mythical amount of money they never spend.
But look up what it's called.
Yeah.
Because while I tell this story, we could go back and forth. But my HOA fees, they're not too crazy, but what's crazy nowadays anyway? I don't even know. They're like, I want to say they're like $250 a month, something like that. Maybe a little less, $225. But they're about like $225, $250.
That's $3,000 a year.
I mean, it's
a real number. A reserve fund.
Yeah, it's a reserve. Yeah, it's the HOA reserve, right?
Yeah.
So this stuff's supposed to go towards the lawn out front and the flowers, and when it snows. Someone's supposed to come and move the snow out of the way, whatever. But in our reserve, I think there's like $1.1 million or something.
Mm-hmm.
In case the roof caves in and they have to repair the roof, right? That's going to cost $600,000-$700,000, whatever. Or the building needs a new deck. But what I'm getting at is we needed some new tuck pointing, and the HOA had a meeting and they wanted to raise the fees.
They want to raise the fees. They're not going to use it for that. That's maintenance.
I'm like, this sounds like a perfect time to go dip in that 1.1 million to get it fixed, right?
Yeah, they're not.
But you know me, Nick. I don't want to. I would never ever sit on the board of an HOA because I couldn't deal with it.
That's how I am with things. It's too much for me.
It's too much red tape for me. I would lose my mind.
I went to like 2 PTA meetings a few years ago when Mia was in elementary school, and that's what I told Nikki. I was like, I can't. This doesn't move at my pace. It makes no sense. It's a whole bunch of talking and no action.
Yes,
I'm gonna piss off a lot of people if I stay here too long. So I need to get me out of here. Yes. I'm the same way. I could never sit on a condo board, HOA board. I can't do it. I can't deal with it. I fucking can't do it.
Yeah, I was talking to there's a joke about it too. It was like the only way you get something done on the HOA board is to be the president of the HOA board.
Yeah, that's it.
But no one wants to be the president of the HOA board, so you're not going to get done what you want to get done.
They're all like that. Wait till you have kids and you go to a school board meeting. You're gonna pull your fucking eyes out, dude.
So I'm just like, look, I'll just pay the extra shit, and I don't just for my peace of mind. I don't want to deal with this, right? But that's similar to that slush fund in the NFL. It's like it's the reserve that never gets used for the stuff that needs to get used for, because it'd be a perfect spot for those guys to dip into that money and help out the running backs, man, because it's nasty stuff out here. We have a league that's clearing $12-15 billion a year in profit. And there's guys making $600,000-$700,000, $1.5 million. It's crazy. Like, yo, listen, shout out Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. the over under on his touches the next 3 years has to be 1,200.
So yeah, yeah, absolutely. It should be 1,200 this year. Him and the other dude. Desmond Ridder should just be handing off left and right.
Dude,
yeah,
he's gonna get the ball so much
especially if they
next
keep
2-3
winning.
years.
Yeah, forget about it.
It's gonna be absurd. So
let me ask you this though. But if you start doing that, doesn't it then become unfair to the other positions? So here's a perfect example, right? Our guy Brock Purdy. Last year, Brock Purdy made $700,000. This year, he makes $870. Next year, he makes $985, and the year after that, he makes 1.1. So if Purdy's like, hey, you're paying running backs for their contributions, and it's going crazy. I need my money right now, then too. I'm criminally underpaid. Even though I have a contract at the end of the rate, yeah, that's fine. What if I get hurt? If I'm another player, I'm not approving that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm saying like no, because we're making special concessions for one position. And once you do that, you open up that Pandora's box. You start doing other shit here. Who else feels they're underpaid? Fullbacks, like, hey man, we block. We don't make enough money. We should have some of this too. Hey, we need this too. I'm a tight end, but I catch 95 balls. I should be dipping into the wide receiver fund.
That's been a problem.
Hey, yeah, I know, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. So it becomes you don't do it. It is what it is. Listen, man, that's the situation that we're in right now. That's where we're at. Deal with it.
Suicide.
That's
don't
where
be
we're
a
at.
running back.
Then don't
Kids,
be a running back. That's fine. Yeah.
Go throw the rock.
Yeah, I would absolutely go throw the rock.
Go throw the rock.
I saw Mitch Trubisky on the sidelines last night. You know what? Mitch Trubisky's rich. Might never work again. Actually, in a game.
If he didn't want,
he'll be in the league for the next 10 years.
On or off the field, he doesn't.
The Trubisky family's rich. He's rich. He's the richest person he knows.
He's the richest person he knows. That's a good one. I love that one. I'm the richest person I know.
I'm the richest person I know.
I'm doing okay.
So you can say what you want to. I'm fucking rich. Everybody looks up to me that I know. All right, don't fucking get out of here.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about Cincinnati Bengals. They're 0-2.
Oh man,
Burrow out with the calf. Josh Browning, shout out Washington. Looks like he's going to get the start here this week.
Is he Husky?
What do you make? What do you make of the overall team situation?
Is Burrow out for sure? Have they said that he's out?
I don't think it's for sure, but it's not looking good. I know the number moved from 6.5 down to 3 for the Rams this week, so that number's been moving around. Overall, I know you wanted to talk about it. How do you feel about the Bengals? They're 0-2 for the second year in a row. Are they going to be able to put it together again?
Yeah, it looks shaky because as people have alluded to, I think the worst situation that could have happened for them was you try to have him play through this injury and then you go 0-2 and he re-aggravates it, and that's exactly where they find themselves. Now, traditionally, the Bengals have started slow under Joe Burrow, right? I think last year they started off 0-2 and that ended up all right for them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't 0-2 with the Joe Burrow injury. It was 0-2 with Joe Burrow recovering from an injury that he had suffered in the Super Bowl. So I think it's a little bit different, right? Whereas this calf injury, from what I'm hearing, it's not going to go away. And if you watch him play, specifically if you watch him play, he looks, for a guy that's Mr. Comfortable, right? We talk about how comfortable Joe Burrow is. He looks very, very, very uncomfortable, and it has a clear effect on their offense. And they can't protect him. I think he's the most hit quarterback in the NFL since he's entered the league. It's always been an issue. I know it's gotten better than where it was when he tore up his knee the first year, but it's still not great. And I worry that a few more hits, man, he's just going to keep re-aggravating, and it's going to be an issue all year long. And again, you're 0-2, right? It's not like they're 1-1 or 2-0 and you're trying to figure this out. You drop those first 2 games and you have a bunch of questions. It's not like you drop the first 2 games because you're figuring stuff out. Like, you have a bunch of questions going forward, and now you're saying he might not even start this week. And you look at their schedule. I mean, you got the Rams, who surprisingly, 2-0? Did they lose? Yeah, 2-0 Rams. The Rams won that game. The Rams lost. They lost to the Niners. 1-1.
Yeah, they lost to the Niners.
But looked okay. Looked competitive, and Stafford looks good. You got the Titans, who can always be tricky. The Cardinals, who aren't good, but then you got Seattle, then you got the Niners, then you got the Bills. Like, your schedule doesn't do you too many favors here, and you got a whole bunch of questions. So if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm worried. Not to mention the Baltimore Ravens, as I suspected, look very, very good and look like they will take this division. So I would be very, very concerned if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals right now.
There's always a team that's going to take a step back. And I think with this Joe Burrow injury, it looks like it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals this year. I don't see why you would not just make sure that Burrow settles in, gets 100% healthy, and then bring him back. I don't. There's no reason to rush and try to get him back. I just hate to write off the season so early.
So you would have sat him to start the season, is what you're saying? If it wasn't where you wanted to be.
I mentioned this on multiple outlets. Everyone just ignored the fact that Burrow hadn't been practicing and stuff. Taylor said several weeks about when is he going to come back? Several weeks ago is when he'll come back. Okay, so
I always assumed he wasn't going to start the season because he hadn't been practicing. Yeah,
and when he pulled up in training camp, he already had a sleeve on the calf. The calf has been giving him issues for a while. It sounds like to me. And it was completely downplayed because Burrow's Burrow. And he made sure he got his deal done coming into the year. We weren't worried about that. That got done. But it was always just like, yeah, Joe Cool's going to be fine. He's all good. He's not all good. He's not healthy. That's his plant leg, his right calf. It's just not – it's not healthy. He's not good. So that's going to be an issue here going forward. That's going to be the team that's taking a step back this year. They could fuck around and win 8 games.
Oh, so you think it could go that bad for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna. I think it's gonna take some time for him to get back right. I think he's hurt.
Yeah,
I think he's hurt.
And you shut up. So So if you're Zach Taylor, you shut him down for a few weeks.
I'm not playing.
Based on what you've seen, so you've seen the 2 games, right?
Or you've seen clips. He was shit in game 1.
He was awful in game 1.
He was shit in game 1 in a rainy, sloppy game, and then in game 2 he looked bad against Baltimore.
Bad again, yeah.
And he's limping around. I don't need 50%, 70% Joe Burrow. I need 100% Joe Burrow because this guy's going to be the quarterback for the next. Literally, this guy is my livelihood.
Yeah. But
Joe Burrow.
We're talking about those guys like Joe Burrow's in that top 10. There's another group, and Joe Burrow's in that another group.
Yes.
And then there's Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, so there's 3 groups in that top 10. There's the top 10, there's those guys, and then there's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So yeah,
exactly.
And Burrow's in that next category of the absolute upper echelon of NFL quarterback. Like not a guy, an absolute difference maker, a guy you absolutely can and will win with. So yeah, for sure.
Let's move over to the Dallas Cowboys, 2-0. Absolutely wrecking shop. Beat up on the Jets, of course. Beat up on the Giants, of course. They're 2-0. Dak played well against the Jets. Against the Jets defense, that was awesome. Yep. They might have lost a little bit of steam coming into that game, knowing they weren't gonna be able to put up a lot of points with Zach Wilson playing. So that takes the steam out of your D. But Dak looked great. Jets, they hung 30 plus on the Jets. Swagoo, he did the let me be clear. I'm not saying Micah Parsons is
Lawrence
Taylor, but he is Lawrence Taylor.
yeah. I'm not saying, but I am saying, one of those.
I'm not saying that Micah Parsons is Lawrence Taylor, but Sky is Lawrence Taylor.
Remember, nothing matters what you say before but. Anything you say before but is just a lie.
So he has been playing lights out. There's talk on the major outlets on the morning shows that Micah could win MVP.
For sure.
The way he disrupts games is unbelievable.
From all over.
It's unbelievable how he disrupts games. He
outside,
just runs around.
Inside, stand up,
He's like
down.
He plays like Ed Reed, but on the edge.
He essentially plays every position for them except for safety and corner.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's a monster. And you heard what Jerry Jones said coming in. He said, "Hey man, we're gonna have to pay 11 pretty soon here." So.
Yeah, he already. If Jerry Jones already acknowledged it too, he never said that about Dak.
He's never said that about anybody. I've never heard Jerry Jones say that. Like,
we have to pay.
I gotta fucking pay this guy.
I gotta pay this guy
11
regardless.
Next year. So like, it is what it is. Like we'll figure. I think they asked him a question about Dak deal. He's like, "Well, I gotta pay 11." So.
I gotta pay 11. Who? He's like, who?
Yeah.
I gotta pay 11.
The only contract I'm talking about is Micah Parsons. I got to pay 11.
Which considering like the Bosa deal and all that, if you're Parsons will absolutely shatter any record for non-quarterbacks and will approach quarterback money. He will approach quarterback money.
It's gonna be nasty. So shout out Micah Parsons. But do you believe in the Cowboys?
So Sean's been high on the Cowboys since the beginning of the year. That was his pick for the NFC. I think you actually had a pretty good narrative. I think I think the talk on the Cowboys got so disgusting that they became undervalued, when in reality, all they've done is just keep adding to their team whenever they can. Adding players.
Really well.
They've drafted extremely well. They've signed impact players. As far as on the field so far this year, look, I've killed McCarthy at every turn as far as his game managing and overall head coach skills. But taking over that offense, right, taking it more to a ground control, which, look, this is me. I love ground control, running the ball type offenses, burning down clock, and not necessarily being conservative, but you don't have to create fireworks, right? And I think that was the quote that he had, like when they got rid of Kellen Moore, is we don't necessarily need to have fireworks. And I get that. I think sometimes you have a quarterback and it's like, ooh, we can throw for 5,000 yards. Let's do it. But you don't necessarily need to do that. That's not really a winning formula. And so, yeah, I mean, look, you look at these first two games, they've played really balanced. I don't think Dak has played necessarily lights out, but he's gotten the job done, and it looks balanced, and they're winning ball games. They've outscored 70-10 in their first two games. With that being said, it's been against Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson, and I think you can't overstate.
They mashed them, though.
Listen. They mashed the Giants. You can't overstate how toxic this situation in New York, as far as the Jets are concerned, is going to get. You already got the Twitter beef going on now. You got Sauce firing back at people online. You got. It's just going to get real bad there. Every time I see Saleh in a press conference, it's like he's speaking a eulogy at a funeral. The guy looks dead inside. So I just think that situation is toxic. So look, they haven't played, and it's going to get a lot easier again for them next week with the Cardinals, and then even easier with the Patriots. Like, they really don't play anybody until they play the Niners, which is perfect. Again, and listen. I'm 100% kind of like the Eagles last year. You play who they schedule you to play. I don't want to hear about like all that, so I'm not going to get all high on that. But it is of note. But yeah, man, they look great. They look great as far as the defense. The defense looks outstanding. Micah Parsons is for sure an MVP candidate. They look fucking awesome. They look unstoppable. Obviously, if they keep this rolling, I'm not gonna deny what I'm seeing. I do think Shannon Sharp did say something yesterday that I agree with as far as the Cowboys. He said,
I can't wait to hear this. Well,
he said, can you be who you need to be when you need to be?
That's good.
Can you be who you need to be when you need to be? And listen, that is the Dallas Cowboys. This isn't the first time they've looked good. Right? This isn't the first time Dak has looked great. This isn't the first time that looks like they've turned over a new leaf. Hell, it isn't the first time they've looked like the best team in the NFC. But again, can you be who you need to be when you need to be? Really does. We can't act like some of these collapses and things like that haven't happened. But I do agree with you to the point where they've almost become or they go into the season, they became undervalued with a lot of the narrative.
I'll say this about can you be who you need to be when you need to be it. It really helps if you go out and get the number one seed and you play the games in Arlington. And you don't have to go to San Francisco and play in the Bay in the NFC divisional.
Yeah, you don't want to be there.
Play at home. Get a bye.
Yeah.
Why not go get the bye? Why not be the best team in the NFC, get a bye, and not have to worry about going to Philadelphia, going to San Francisco? Make them come to you. It's so massive. The fact that people have had to go to Arrowhead year in and year out is massive. People had to go to New England.
He's still never played. He's never played a away playoff game, right?
I don't know. Mahomes.
Yeah. I think he's never played. They've never played in a way. He's never played in a away playoff game.
That's massive.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like,
they handle business.
Go handle business. Get the number one seed, and it's a lot easier to be who you need to be when you need to be it. If you are waking up in your own bed, driving your own car to your locker, and putting on your uniform very comfortably, eating your food, sleeping with your girl.
Let's say sleeping with your lady, waking up to your kids, playing with your kids, walking your dog.
Yes, it's a lot.
Taking a shit in your bathroom. You're like, all that for sure.
All that, man. All that stuff matters.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to go to San Francisco, also, you do as like human nature, like Dak. If Dak had to go to the divisional and go to San Francisco again, he'd be like, it's almost like, here we go again.
Yep.
I fucking see, like, it's tough. It's a lot tougher. So go get the number one seed, do what you got to do, and then make everybody come to you in Dallas, and then it can be a real thing. you win 2 games. Next thing you know, you're in the Super Bowl, and you could change the whole narrative about everything. Dak wins a Super Bowl. You want to talk about a contract?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Forget it.
You never know
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
And to your point, as far as getting home field advantage, again, we just went through their schedule. Their next 2 games are very winnable at Arizona and then at home against the Patriots. So I mean, these are two teams that haven't won. You could be 4-0 heading into to San Fran for that game.
Yeah.
Like you really could. And then it gets tough because you got Niners, Chargers, Rams, Eagles, Giants. Yeah. So I mean, it gets tough there for a while, but yeah, they could realistically be 4-0 heading. It could be 2 4-0 teams. As far as that Niners Cowboys matchup, what a game that's going to be.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That's going to do it for No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little, for Big Nick the Quick. Make sure you subscribe. Send it to a homie, to send it to another homie. The Chicago Bears, Tampa Bay Buccaneers vlog is going to be coming out here in the next couple days. Be on the lookout for that. I'll drop that link. It was a fun game, fun footage. I already seen most of it. We're trying to get the final touches on the edit. So make sure you're looking out for that. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Little. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. We'll see y'all later.